Something just popped in my head to talk about. Let's talk about OCD, Obsessive Compulsive Disorder. I think many people, especially adults, suffer from this. I remember growing up and hearing, some of the friends that I used to hang out with, like, I have OCD, and I never really understood what that was. So let's take a deep dive. Let's start this journey off by learning the definition of what this mental health disease is called. Obsessive Compulsive Disorder, better known as OCD, is a chronic treatable mental health condition characterized by uncontrollable recurring thoughts, obsessions, and repetitive behaviors, compulsions, that consume significant time and cause distress. Symptoms usually begin in teens or young adults, affecting about 1.2 of U.S. adults annually. It is managed through therapy and or medication. All right, so we know where we stand with this. We understand that this is something that causes you to do something repetitively, and you think about it, it takes up a lot of your mental space, and it causes you to act on it. Okay, so now let's talk about what it looks like to have OCD, okay? So the symptoms are divided into two categories, often co-occurring, that interfere with daily life. So the first one is obsessions, repeated, persistent, and unwanted urges, thoughts, or images causing distress, such as fear of germs, contamination, forbidden thoughts involving religion or sex, or extreme need for symmetry. And then there's compulsions, repetitive behaviors aimed at reducing anxiety from obsessions, such as excessive cleaning, hand washing, checking locks or stoves repeatedly, okay? Strict ordering and mental rituals like silent prayers or counting. Side note, I think it is very, very unique for people to create mental rituals, especially if you are younger, because it's like you suffering in silence, and therefore you come up with your own coping mechanism to be able to go through that suffering. Like, that is really clutch. And speaking of childhood, one of the factors that pour into what triggers OCD is the environment. Some studies suggest environmental factors or childhood trauma may trigger OCD. Right now, it's safe to say that roughly 1.2 of U.S. adults experience OCD each year, with similar prevalent rates worldwide. It's safe to say that some adults right now are walking around and don't even know that they have OCD. So for those adults who never found out that they had that OCD as a teenager, this is what happens. When OCD remains untreated from teenage years into adulthood, it often follows chronic and progressive course. While symptoms may fluctuate, the disorder rarely resolves on its own and typically becomes more entrenched as neural pathways associated with rituals strengthen over time. So a lot of people that do not understand what they have could be walking around with these rituals going on in their mind, and they develop into other things because it's your mind telling yourself. You have no therapy in between. So just imagine how dangerous that can be. Okay, so let's talk about how the impact will take a toll on the adult that has OCD and doesn't know. So developmental and social impact strain relationships. Untreated symptoms can lead to conflict with partners or family and often result in social withdrawal to avoid triggers. Professional challenges. Adults with untreated OCD may lose an average of 46 workdays per year due to their symptoms, which can lead to career stagnation or unemployment. Self-neglect. Severe cases can lead to physical issues such as skin damage from washing or nutritional deficiencies if obsessions focus on food. So you can kind of look at some people and their lifestyles and the way that they carry on about themselves and other things that they may obsess over, and clearly assume that these are the 1.2% that collectively could have OCD. And don't think when they say avoid and withdraw that it means to totally isolate themselves. It's just that they are going to withdraw themselves away from people that could hold them accountable to things, or in other words, they could trigger certain things that could cause reactions to their OCD. Now let's talk about the mental health complications of having OCD. Well, let's just say obsessive compulsive disorder. Mental health complications. Co-occurring disorders. Up to 90% of people with OCD will eventually meet the criteria for at least one other psychiatric disorder, most commonly major depression or generalized anxiety. Substance use. About 25% of individuals with untreated OCD turn to alcohol or drugs to self-medicate the chronic anxiety. Suicidal ideation. The long-term emotional exhaustion of battling constant intrusive thoughts significantly increases the risk of suicidal thoughts or actions. So you can clearly assume that when a person wishes that type of thing on you, that they may be battling the same things internally. And you can probably contribute it to obsessive compulsive disorder. So, with all that being said, despite these challenges, it is never too late to seek help. Evidence-based treatments like exposure and response prevention, or ERP, and medication remain effective for adults, even if symptoms have persisted for decades. So I'm here to heal and I'm here to help. If you see any of your friends exemplifying any obsessive compulsive behavior, then you need to show them this video, because it's never too late. You can be healed from the OCD.